We're coming to the portion of audience participation. We did have a sign-up sheet. Amy,
Yes, Mr. President. First one that signed in was a Mr. James Evanoff.
How you doing, sir? If you could, your first and last name, spell your last name and your address for me, please. And then we'll have, we give everybody 5 minutes to speak. Around that time, our council clerk will kind of give us the high sign, and then I'll relay that to you.
Okay. James Evanoff, it's E-V-A-N-O-F-F. It's 3649 Ascot Drive, Brunswick, Ohio. Pretty sure you're already looking at, as soon as you heard Brunswick, you want to know why I'm here tonight. Well, I'm here about this exit ramp plan that you guys insist upon ramming down my city's throat. I'm sitting here looking at a lot of failures that have gone on in this city, in the city of Strongsville, that have contributed to the problem that now all of a sudden you wanted the state to rescue you from. You've continued to overbuild on the 82 corridor in Strongsville. You have done nothing to change the traffic and improve traffic on Howe Road. The state offered you money to put a slip ramp in. No. There's plenty of open land that you can put a roundabout in at Howe and Shermer. That would ease some of the bottlenecks there. Have you thought about widening Howe Road? Or even just putting some turnoffs in so that way Amazon and UPS deliveries and anybody else who's delivering doesn't tie up the road? No. How about your garbage contracts? If I was a city and I was so worried about the traffic on that road, I would tell Republic Services or Rumpke or whatever other garbage contractor you have hauling for you, you cannot be on that road between the hours of 7 and 9 in the morning collecting trash. You cannot be on that road after 3 p.m. collecting trash in either direction. You're the city of Strongsville. You're the one offering and trying to get a contract. You can put that kind of thing in there. I can't tell you how many times I go down Howe Road and we're tied up because of a garbage truck on that road. A lot of the traffic problems are created by the city of Strongsville by not doing a better job of enforcing contracts, improving traffic flow, turn down free money from the state. That's ridiculous. And now you want to force this down the city I live's in throat, saying, oh, we need this, it's for the greater good because all the traffic from Brunswick that's on that road. Guess what? Many people in the city of Brunswick, we've been studying and looking and seeing how people are driving down the road. 80 to 90% of the traffic on our road is your residents. Quit lying to the public saying, oh, it's 30, 40, 50% of the traffic on that road is the city of Brunswick. It isn't. Unless you're telling us, don't come to your guys' locations here in Strongsville. Guess what? If I'm thinking about going and getting a steak, maybe I'll drive to Medina instead of coming to Strongsville. Because obviously we're not welcome here. That's the message you're giving me here by trying to ram this down our throats. Have you even said, you know what, hey, we realize that Boston Road is going to need a ton of improvement to do this, but we need this so bad, we'll pay for everything that the state doesn't pay for. Have you done that? No. You have not. You obviously had the juice with Mr. Tom Patton in the state assembly to try and get this exit put in. Why didn't you have it done in such a way that we're going to build an exit at Drake Road? You obviously had the juice because the General Assembly member that represents this city got the only place that this exact legislation exists and would be legal is on the Brunswick-Strongsville border. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you say, you know what, Tom, we really need a freeway exit. We need it at Drake Road. Get it done and get it paid for. No. Mr. Carbone, a minute ago I heard you talking about you feel for the people whose their houses burned down. I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask Strongsville to put their money where their mouth is. If you really feel for it, why don't you do what Cleveland and the state did with the Opportunity Corridor? Years before the first shovel even went down, they gave all the people that lived in that area way overvalue on their homes. If you guys really insist upon needing this, knowing that you're going to take out homes in Strongsville and Brunswick, write legislation now or work with the state right now. get the legislation made, and pay them $300,000 over market value for their home. So that way they can move and get on with their lives now, instead of waiting for a drop in the market, and then you're going to say we're going to eminent domain you out of your home. That's the problem with Strongsville. They're always worried about their commercial interests, tax money, tax money, tax money, but you don't seem to care about the people.
Next person, Amy.
Hi, my name is Sue Mazzola, M-A-Z-Z-O-L-A. I live on 3440 Boston Road, Brunswick. Mr. Persiak, Mayor Persiak, I address this to you, sir. Were you aware that Representative Tom Patton brought this bill to Governor DeWine in an unprecedented way? Brunswick had no say. It was done with deception. You have said that there were 3 sites you were looking at, when, in fact, only Boston Road fits that criteria. So there's a little lie there. You took away the voices of both Brunswick and Strongsville residents. You have emphasized in your last meeting, this is all about safety, safety. Tell me, sir, how is it safer to put in a residential area? It's not. Are you being fully transparent with your residents on Howe Road who think this is going to alleviate problems on their street? It's not. If that interchange goes up, the south end of Strongsville is going to use it, causing more traffic on the south end of Howe. Understandably so. But do you not think all the cities south of us are not going to get off on that interchange and take the back road to the mall to avoid 82? You just increased their traffic. But of course, you just have to blame it on the Brunswick residents. Okay. Any relief you're going to get by removing the Brunswick residents, you're going to get back again once you finish your townhomes. Strongsville was at one time a sought-after residential area. Looked there myself before buying in Brunswick. That's where everybody wanted to go and raise their children. You have turned it into a commercial circus. There is nothing family-friendly about Strongsville anymore. It's just about building, building, building. There's not a strip anywhere in Strongsville that isn't surrounding a neighborhood. You have destroyed your own city. That's why people are moving south. As far as eminent domain, let's talk about this. First of all, doing this is going to destroy families. Eminent domain will give us so much money. My neighbor put her house up for sale. She's looking now. She can't even get a condo for $399,000. We're not going to get that kind of money. There are people on, she's on a fixed income. We have a lady in Strongsville, 92 years old. Where's she going? No, none of us are going to have homes. We have families living there that their dollar is stretched as it is in today's market with things being so high. Where are they going? Because minimum is $100,000 more that we're going to have to pay out to find something comparable to what we've put into our homes. I put in a new roof, new siding, new air conditioning, heating, windows. I'm not starting over. I am 64 years old. We don't have that kind of money. We were looking for retirement, which is why we did this, so we wouldn't have to worry about it. And now people think it's okay to come in and just say, you know what, we're a little crowded. We need to invade your space. Now, let's talk about Representative Tom Patton, who we all know, anybody who knows him, knows he is a shady man. He's been in question since the DeMora trial, and up now even, to the former secretary, former House Speaker in Columbus. Patton's name was listed.
Ma'am, can we keep it to the Boston Road, please?
Why? You don't want to hear this? Does Patton not represent you? You know what? This was dirty politics. That's how he got this bill up there. You should hear that. Because you all promised to work for people, and what you're doing is not. When dirty politics is involved, that's not working for people. He is a crook. Anybody who associates with him, the man should be removed. GOP wants him out. Anybody who associates with him, it's only a matter of time before they go after him. Again, his name brought up in the scheming. So this is who's representing your city. That's your reputation. Thank you.
The next,
And I'm sorry if I say this, Shrey Kellums? Did I say that right? I'm sorry.
My name is Sharia Kellums, Kellums. I live on 3450 Boston Road in Brunswick. I have lived in my house for over 30 years. And basically I have like maybe 3 more years until retirement. Our plans were to sell the house, get a decent amount of money for it, so we have money for retirement. Well, then this is throwing at us. I will probably get diddly squat for my house, if anything, if I even have a house left. I have done my own surveys. I went down last week. My first day was at 6:15. I went into the marathon. It took me at 6:15, 6 minutes to get home on Howe Road. 6 minutes to my house, into the driveway, into the garage. So then I went at 5:15. It took 7 minutes from the Cleveland Clinic to Drake. Then from Drake, I timed it again, and from Drake to Howe Road, right into my garage, was 2.5 minutes. And you guys are blaming Brunswick. And all I'm hearing is 43% of the traffic is Brunswick. That's a bunch of hooey, an absolute bunch of hooey and lies. And just leave us alone, that's all. Leave us alone, and you're lying by saying that it's gonna be totally paid for. Brunswick's not that kind of a community. You guys might have deep pockets, we don't. Our community's not like that. And I don't appreciate you telling us what we're gonna do with our money. I really don't.
Terry Woods?
Thank you. Terry Woods, W-O-O-D-S, 3510 Boston Road, Brunswick. I looked at the plans. They had laid out 4 pictures of what your ramp could look like. And it's quite obvious that Drake Road is the only optimal place for it. Boston Road would take out too many houses. I really didn't count the houses around the exit ramps or anything, and I don't know if you guys have already, but I think you made a big mistake by not taking the slip ramp. That would have been the simplest solution to everything. Just put a 3rd lane in Howe Road, which I thought was gonna happen with the sewers, but you fooled us on that one. And she's right, the traffic is much lighter from Drake Road to Boston, much lighter. In the mornings, it's pretty heavy from Brunswick. I don't know where they're going, but when I was working, it wasn't that bad. I've been retired now for 14 years. The traffic was, got a lot of heavier after the mall went in. But again, you hit Drake Road and it was a lot thinner. It wasn't that heavy. So I don't know where the controversy's coming from, and I don't know why or how Patton got this passed other than devious methods. But I think that once you do your survey, and I hope Brunswick does the same survey, you'll find that Brunswick Road shouldn't be messed with. The straightest shot for your trucks is right down Drake Road into Falls Parkway instead of down Boston Road, which neither road is really equipped right now for trucking, especially Brunswick. That's a country road that's just been paved. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very
Sir,
much.
you said you saw photos? Where did you?
Yes, I forgot to bring them with me. I have.
Is that the committee of the whole the city of Brunswick had? meeting?
It was a shot of Drake Road, Boston Road, Howe Road. The planned ramps were just drawn in over photos. I don't know who made them up or anything, but I can get them to you next week if you want. It's pretty ridiculous when you see the drawings with what they did, but that's all I have to say.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Mr. Lou Chapman?
How you doing, sir?
Council, thank you. My name is Lou
Hold up
Chapman.
there, sir.
Okay, you got it in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you. I live at 14634 Boston Road. I've lived there for 44 years. I think this is maybe about the 5th time we've passed over this intersection, all right? I'm a retired electrician from General Motors Corporation, and I'm also ex-vice president of the Homeowners Association for the Trails Development. Over those period of years, I must have done 30, maybe 50 electrical jobs for those associates, people that I've met, like the people that come to this microphone. This is not the first time. My telephone has been ringing off the hook about how emotionally upset these residents are with all the things that are going on in our community, inflation and everything. Many of them are struggling. I'm not the official spokesman, but seeing that I'm the handyman, I get a lot of telephone calls. Just the announcement has caused tremendous upset by people who are fragile, people that need assistance. This publication, again, about this interchange is poorly done, without enough facts. It's another, maybe it's going to happen. The ramifications that these people are having are taking them to the doctor, believe it or not. And they have to get a ride to go to the doctor. It's not like they can just go in and get their car. That's my statement that I want to make. The second thing I'd like to do is ask you, what's prompting this? Where is the data that supports this type of interchange to be put on Boston Road? I'd like to know. I can't seem to be able to find that. And I'd like to know if the council can tell me where to go that justifies this type of intervention at that location. With 44 years of watching traffic go down Boston Road, since they started working from home, this is the lightest traffic we've seen it. That's not a statistic. I didn't have a counter, but with 44 years of experience and hearing it go by, we know when it increases and when it decreases. We love Strongsville, but we do not like the way this has been flopped out there again, upsetting people, and more questions than answers. That's not the way to do good business. Not for the caliber of city that Strongsville is. Thanks for the opportunity to talk. Thank you.
Nancy Prognowski?
My name is Nancy Frognowski, F-R-O-G-N-O-W-S-K-I. I live, you want the full address? You said?
Yes.
465 Pembroke Cove in Brunswick. My backyard, I live in Concord Meadows, so I live in one of those cluster homes. My backyard, in my porch that I love to sit out on, and the yard, the pond, and then Carpenter Road. I'm very concerned about the traffic that will come down Carpenter Road. It's pretty trafficy now, and I feel like this will only increase it. My heart also goes out to the residents of Boston Road, and I have been to a couple of Brunswick council meetings, and a couple people have broken down in tears, you know, talking about what's going to happen with their house. And I feel the same way. I purchased my house several years ago. It's supposed to be my forever home. I'm retired, I'm single, and I'm not quite sure what the next move is. This is very concerning. Like others, I was very disappointed and angered hearing about this interchange again. I've been in Brunswick for 35 years, and I know it's come up again and again. But it just seems like all of a sudden it's been imposed on us, and we had no say in the matter. I'm curious about ODOT and NOACA and when their opinions come in and all these studies I know that are being done. It seems that there's a certain protocol that this is all supposed to follow. And I'm not educated enough about it, but I'm not sure that all that has happened. I haven't heard about those. Like other residents said, it seems that Strongsville has a lot of development in your commercial businesses, the stores, the mall, Costco, and now Brunswick has to take on, the responsibility of the traffic problems. Talked about safety concerns. I hear that a lot, that's part of the reason. And there's safety concerns for Brunswick residents too, and Strongsville, as some of the people talked from Strongsville that live there. I don't see how it would be safe having all that traffic, trucks included on Boston Road, and then the further places on Carpenter and every other which way they would go. And I also think it's a financial burden for the city of Brunswick to take on, because then they would be maybe having to improve those roads if that's how the, costs go, or maintaining them for sure. Another thing that I don't hear brought up often, but I've heard it a few times, is that there's a jet fuel line in that area, and that would have to be moved. Down Boston? Way down Boston. Okay. And to me, that is I never knew that before, and that is a huge safety concern. Just moving it, and God forbid there's any kind of accident during that. So that doesn't make sense to me why that area is being looked at. I guess too, again, some of what I'm saying is repetitive, so I apologize, but Strongsville had the opportunity for the slip ramp, and many residents opposed it, and they were heard, and it wasn't gone through with. But now I feel like all of a sudden it's being dropped on Brunswick, and do we get a chance to oppose it and possibly have it dropped? It doesn't seem that way, because it seems that now it's all of a sudden a law that was kind of snuck in there. I'm curious when trucks get off that exit, where are the trucks going to go? Are they going to come down South Carpenter to 303? Are they going to go down Boston, which we know is not in the condition right now to accept all that? And again, my final statement is that I purchased my home. I'm proud to have done it by myself. And that's where I was gonna, live out my retirement. And I just don't feel that I can do that anymore. And I am one of those people that lays awake at night thinking, do I sell now? Do I wait? Is this gonna happen? And it's very upsetting. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for sharing your comments.
That's all that signed in, President Carbone?
Okay. Did anybody else want to come to the podium and say a few words?
No.
No,
No.
you
Pardon me?
get one chance. No, you get one chance. That's what the rules provide.
Anybody else who has not spoken? Well, I appreciate everybody coming in and voicing your opinions about this. There's a lot of assumptions that are going on, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. And the reason why it's misinformation is we have nothing. We are as much in the dark as you guys are with this. There is a feasibility study that is being conducted, but we have not seen anything. But when you start, we're just hearing a lot of assuming that these things are going to take place, and it's just not true at this point. The state did take an initiative on this. Obviously, as elected officials, we are going to look and dissect this as soon as we get something back, and we will. There is a process. A couple of you had said, we want to be a part of that process. There hasn't been a process. You haven't been transparent. We have been transparent. What we have is what our community has, what you have. That is all we have at this point. But, there's just a lot of misinformation. The slip ramp came back from NOACA as a highly unfeasible project because that's part of the process. There was an idea to relieve traffic, right? absolutely safety, not only for the residents of Strongsville, for the residents of Brunswick, Hinckley, North Royalton, Columbia Station, and Brunswick Hills. You know, so obviously as elected officials, we are gonna look at all these things, and there is a process. That went through the process. The residents of Howe Road, you're absolutely right, we're very passionate about that. But ultimately, the decision came from NOACA as a highly unfeasible project. And when we start getting into, I've watched all the meetings in Brunswick, and I've read all the comments. We're talking about 4 or 5 lanes, the jet fuel line, about Fultz Industrial. It's just none of this is true at this point. And we're just assuming this. And once we get something back, we are gonna share that. We're all gonna be able to dissect that. And I can tell you, we're gonna make the best decision for our residents and for our neighbors to the south of us. And safety will be part of it. Feasibility will be part of it. What type of impact we're gonna make. All these things are gonna be taken in consideration. I guess what I ask is if you could just be patient. And as we get stuff, we will share that. And then we're open to hearing your comments. But right now, it's just very premature. And we have zero information. And the information we have is exactly what, some of it, what you've had with what's going on in the state. Because right now, this is a state initiative. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mr. Mayor?
No, we authorized the payment of the study just to find out all the things that you discussed, President Carbone. And at the end of the day, there is going to be a process where all the residents, whether it be Strongsville or Brunswick, will have an opportunity to come to a forum and voice their opinions. But we're far, far away from that. The study, the first step is due here sometimes at the end of May. But that doesn't mean that we're going to be ready to release that. It has to go through all the different agencies. And then if, in fact, that they allow us to go to the second study, that's when everything else will start, all the public hearings and not to mention all the other, some lady, I think you mentioned protocol, that's exactly what has to happen. And we'll have to follow all those footsteps. So yes, President Carbone, you are correct. And yes, we, as of this point, we do not have a updated study. There were studies that were completed over the last 25 years. There's a big stack of them. I think those of you that live in the trails know that's nothing new. Those studies are no longer acceptable by ODOT or NOACA. But on the other side, we're going to do our best, and we're going to try to do what's right. And at all costs, we have to be within the limits of the law. That's what we do here. And we are not going to operate or do anything outside of the law. So that you can take to the bank. We will follow the law.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just want to add one thing. You know, a lot, not only Strongsville has overdeveloped, right? We didn't want some of this stuff. We were legally forced on some of it.
And that's correct.
So that whole Costco Plaza and everything.
Was the result of a settlement of a lawsuit.
Yes. And if you look at like communities, I think you're seeing it, you're experiencing it down 303 in your section of Pearl Road. Overdevelopment, which is causing a lot of traffic, stacking of cars and what forth. And we have made, in the city of Strongsville, we have made steps to improve our traffic flow for safety, right? Yes, we want to get people home quicker, but the main goal is to be safe. And we've worked with ODOT and OACA. We've done a lot of improvements to our ramps to get the cars off of 71 and get them flowing on 82. We just spent almost $6 million on a traffic signalization program. So we have done things. But when you say overdevelopment, when you say the mall to somebody that lived off of Howe Road since he was 5 years old, I could tell you this, when I was riding my BMX bike to before the mall, where there was BMX tracks, or when I was driving downtown in the early 90s, there was stacked cars there. There was the northern end of Brunswick and the southern end of Strongsville overdeveloped residentially quickly, and the infrastructure was not in place to take care of it. We are trying to sort through all that right now. So just your patience would be much appreciated. We're going to be transparent, and there's going to be more opportunity to speak in the future.
That is correct, Mr. President.
There'll be plenty of times for questions, believe me, and we're going to be here to answer them. Well,
No,
we-
the rules don't provide for anything from the audience. You had your opportunity. We don't engage in comments from the audience or debate from the audience. It's from the podium. It's clear in our rules. But it's by ordinance as well.
Thank you, Mr. Jamison. So with that being said, we appreciate all your comments. We're going to be here. There's going to be a process, and we're going to be here to hear future comments from you. But for right now, we're going to go right to ordinances and resolutions.